Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they work in your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What up, everybody? How's it feel? I feel great. 61 wins. We got Stephen A. Smith and First Take, who is always last at everything, talking about the Phoenix Suns. We haven't joined you guys in a week. And since then, we've had 3 teams go up on us by 12, 14 points per game. Start trash talking. And then what happens? They get smacked in the mouth like Chris Rock did tonight from Will Smith. That's what happens with this team. We're going to talk about absolutely everything tonight, but we're really going to talk about Devin Booker being the MVP of the league. There's no question he's the best player on the Suns, which is, if you look in a lot of comments, that's what people are saying. He ain't even the best, but no, he's the best player on the Suns. He's the best player in the NBA this season. Arguably, he was the best player in the NBA last season. But people are finally just figuring out who Devin Armani Booker is. He has gone full Armani mode, just like all 3 of us kind of predicted going in when Chris Paul got hurt. And now Chris Paul is back. We're getting healthy. We're going to talk about it. He's on Fire podcast. Go, y'all.
Urkavici sets. Looks up. And it is caught. Dylan Strong. Blitz coming. Matthews. Palmer extending the play. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald is insane to the 4-yard line. Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down. He puts it down. They're getting a little wobbly. But it's Adrian just out of you. A foot race. They won't get it. Center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
It's been a full day of sports today, and it's really been just like a full 2 or 3 weeks of sports, the way everything has just kind of been working out. And the NFL has been crazy. I don't even care about the Cardinals at this point because I'm so invested into what this Phoenix Suns team is doing. And they come out with the win tonight, just, like everybody kind of expected. And U.S. men's national team comes out with 3 big points to hopefully get to the World Cup. I want to touch on that briefly. But, fellas, we are here for one reason only tonight.
He's heating. He's on fire.
That one. He's on fire. That man, Devin Armani Booker. It's been a week since we've gotten together, so I want you guys to take the platform for a little bit, and I want you just to talk about Devin Booker, whether it's this season, his progression, whether you believed in him or you didn't to begin with, what he means to this franchise, the city, just all-encompassing. It doesn't even need to be about the NBA this year. JJ, I want to start with you, and I'm going to pull up some highlights, and we'll show them on another screen in a second, so don't let that mess you up. But talk about Devin Armani Booker, please.
We're basically beating up a dead horse at this point. We've been preaching this for the last 2 seasons. He's been really consistent, and his numbers have only gone up a little bit since last season, but his efficiency has gone up a lot more, and his 3-point shooting is going back and forth between 40 and 39. And so he is balling out, and, when March rolls around, that's when, he just doesn't miss a shot. And like I said, it's just beating a dead horse. Just to start from that Minnesota game, I knew that game was going to be chippy. The refs let a lot of things slide on both for both teams, but how Patrick Beverley took over that team when it comes to just having that annoying like complaining aspect really pissed a lot of the players off and fans off too. And I love Karl Anthony Towns, and me seeing him act like that was kind of discouraging. And the same thing with D'Angelo Russell. And Ant wasn't like that. He was just trying to, find his footing in the game. But yeah, I wasn't liking anything what I was seeing from that. And when Carl and Jay were chopping it back and forth, I knew something was going to happen. And like, what do you know? They cut this team cut the bullshit. They took the game over, smacked them, and then all of Suns Twitter just took over the Minnesota Twitter pages and just went crazy. And that was really fun to see. Then the Nuggets game was just a extension of that, of Booker shooting at a high level, efficient as hell. And then that's when the talk started to come on Undisputed and First Things First. Chris Broussard, he's riding with us to win the championship this year. For some reason, Nick Wright thinks that Dallas is going to take us out if we meet in the playoffs.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That means he doesn't know that they haven't beaten us in like 3 years.
Yeah, they haven't beat us in 2 years. Lucas beat us once, and that was the first time we played against him, and that's when Booker's team was kind of shit. So, so that's when the conversation started because he got MVP chance in Denver. It's got the Suns in 4 chance, the MVP chance. And it just it's just crazy to see all this transpire in front of our eyes. And, like Shannon and Skip, they admitted and they apologized to Booker saying like, yeah, we've been sleeping on you. I'm sorry. But you should be in the conversation. And now it gets into now we're in today, and Booker literally goes insane in the first quarter again and shooting above 50%. And and scoring 82 points in the last 2 games. And and yeah, he could drop 40 every night, but that's not the best way to play, win these games. Chris Paul's back, let's just get another win and just move on. And we talked about this after the All-Star break. Like, if Devin Booker wants to make an MVP push, this is the time you do it. And from All-Star break to now, that's all he's been doing is shooting efficiently, being a distributor, being aggressive on defense, and him just not giving up on plays. And like, Booker's just unraveling before our eyes. He's reaching further down in his bag, and he's just exposing players because Matisse Thybulle couldn't do anything. James Harden couldn't do anything. Tyrese Maxey. Like, Booker was just having a field day with all these guards. And Danny Green, he was getting frustrated. He was complaining to the refs. I mean, all the Sixers players were complaining to the refs. But
and real quick, too, I want to add to your point. Last year, there was a few games we could talk about. Drew Holiday that's against Anthony Davis right there.
Yeah,
there was a few things we could. And for anybody listening, I'm playing some video clips right now of Devin Booker and his highlights throughout his years. Last year, Aaron Gordon, we could talk about, clamped him down to a point. We could talk about Drew Holiday clamping him down. I can't think of anybody this year that has clamped him down or has legitimately given him trouble. I want to give Amit a chance to speak on this as well too, and then I'm sure we're going to have a few points we want to argue back and forth. But Amit, talk about Devin Armani Booker.
Yeah, so after that bubble run, like, I was doing just like a hard sort of analysis in my head and being like, well, what's the ceiling for Booker? And my conclusion was, even though the small sample size, every year he's progressed in almost every area of his game has gotten better. He is MVP caliber, MVP finals caliber. That's his ceiling. And then, maybe after that, it's, Hall of Fame or whatever, whatever you want to say after that. Right. So it's funny that the year I would consider last year, the year where he was playing at an MVP level, he was not even considered an MVP player by anybody other than us fans. Right. And even then we were kind of split between CP3 and Booker on that, just because of the impact that we thought CP3 had. But you know what? CP3 really came in and took a lot. He didn't try to do this, but he took a lot of credit of where the team's growth came from, when it really was like internally, it was Booker, learning to play just more efficiently. Like, it wasn't CP3. Yeah, he was there to help close the games at the end, and he was able there to set the pace, offensively and just get Ayton into the right positions and whatnot. But he didn't the team was already on track they were going to have a winning season. maybe not like, second in the West, but they were going to be in the playoffs. But he really did, accelerate the championship timetable for the team. So now it's like, dude, I got to give props, and just I'm so grateful to be part of like Suns Twitter and how we just bullied everybody into making Devin Booker MVP candidate overnight. Like that was insane. Like I couldn't believe it.
That was crazy,
right? Like all of a sudden you're hearing it,
Absolutely.
and then look, the criteria. It all started with that. What's her name? Rose Gold, or I don't know her name.
Oh my god!
Doesn't matter what her name is.
By the way, one thing that does matter. She was a commentator for the Golden State Warriors before that. So she obviously is biased there. But I mean, look, the criteria is this: best player on the best team. And there's years where Jordan probably should have won them, and
or Kobe.
Karl Malone took one away from him. I still think that Barkley probably. He deserved the one that he won. But when we start giving it to like teams where they're in like 7th place, just because the fact that their team has injuries or isn't like built well, that's not my fault, man. James Jones built this team to persevere through injuries, to be versatile enough to slide people around. That's not Booker's fault. That's not Chris Paul's fault, And then on top of that, we said this when CP3 went down, we said, look, like this is Booker's chance. What's it been, like 15 games for him to show that he's a true MVP candidate to the national folks, not just not us. And I mean, it's a pleasure to watch him because he's just like he doesn't really say much. Like I love that he talks shit to the players and he's starting to get a little rowdy with the fans too.
Yeah,
which I do like. I think he's got to be careful there a little bit, but because you don't want to say the wrong thing, but. Because people he called that guy a pussy or whatever. Like that, somebody caught that. Like, it's funny, but you just don't want to be caught saying the wrong thing to the wrong person. But I mean, look, I just think we're at that point.
Down block. Devin Booker playing defense 5 years ago, by the way.
Yeah, and now we're seeing this consistently. Like before, we were seeing this, and we're like, oh, he can do that. Now we're like, he can go rip it from Nikola Jokic or Joker. 2 or 3 times in consecutive possessions.
Here comes another one.
The game. Yeah. I mean, he's got it in his bag. He's got the full package. And now we're seeing it more consistently on the defensive end, on the rebounding, on the physicality on defense. And this is like, we're seeing this book has just entered his prime. Like he is entering his prime right now. And it's scary because he can even get better. And, right. Right now he can probably be a 2-way player for let's say the next 4 to 5 years, playing at the level that he's playing at and getting more efficient, getting little things in his bag. I mean, look at that. So yeah, man. I mean, this is it. This was what we came for. This is why we stuck with him. This is why we are Suns fans, because we wanted this.
100%. There's things that I could add and we could talk about, but bottom line is best player on the best team, man, best player on the best team. And he's averaging 26.5 points. I had it up on my other screen. So if you just give me 1 second, I want to keep playing this, but bring it up on the other screen. Devin Booker's numbers, and he's averaging career highs in a lot right now. I don't think people also don't realize that. They don't realize how much of a career year he's having just because he's not averaging a career high in points. Does that make sense? And that's very frustrating to watch. Yet Steph Curry will get all the love and he's not averaging a career high in anything. Fortunately, well, not fortunately, like Steph Curry's been hurt. Yeah, I get that. But he's not getting the love because he's out right now, right? So Devin Booker this year, these are career highs, by the way. Career high in field goals per game. His previous was 19.6. He's averaging 20.7. He's not getting a career high in field goal percentage yet, and he's close on 3-point percentage, but he's also averaging tied for a career high in 3 points per game. He's close in free throw percentage by about 4 percentage points, so he probably won't get there, but here's where it is. Career high in offensive rebounds, career high in defensive rebounds, career high in rebounds overall, career high in blocks, career high in steals by a mile, career low in personal fouls, career low in turnovers per game, and he's 0.3 points off of beating or tying his mark for points per game. His highest 2 years in a row was 18-19 and 19-20. So one of them was a bubble year, 26.6 points per game through 70 games, and through 63 games this year, 26.3. Best player on the best team. And I don't know what else people have to do or what else he has to do to prove it to people. You need to watch more Phoenix Suns games if you don't think he plays defense. You need to watch more Phoenix Suns games if you truly believe Chris Paul is the best player on that team. Last year, we could make that argument, right, you guys? We could make that argument between Chris Paul and Devin Booker, more so because of our record, what it was before and after Chris Paul. But JJ, this year, that's not even a question, right? Chris Paul versus Devin Booker, like it's clearly Devin Booker. And if anything, with Chris Paul being out for 14 games, it proves that he's not replaceable, but replaceable for lack of other terms, I guess. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Like looking back, I even think that Booker was the better player last year. It like Amma said when he was talking, the seeds were planted, with Rubio, and when James Jones was constructing this team to be sustainable, and Chris Paul was just the cherry on top of the future and what this core can really do. Booker's always been the best player on this team, and he's been ever since he got drafted, honestly. So what he's been doing the last 2 years has been insane, and what he's been doing in this 4-game stretch is crazy too. 49 points. He had 38 tonight, and what do you have against Minnesota?
35 tonight.
35. So he's basically slaying all the MVP candidates right now. The media has been trying to give Joel Embiid the MVP for the last 3-4 years, but he's been hurt, and this is the first year he's played enough games to possibly give him the award and stuff. And who really knows the criteria anymore? There's a reason why Steve Nash won. There was a reason why Derrick Rose won. The best player on the best team at the time needs to at least be in the conversation. If they're not in the conversation, then this whole thing is flawed. And with that Rose Gold woman, obviously she's not watching Phoenix Suns games because she said Booker wasn't a two-way player. He's not playing defense. He's not shooting well from the field. He's not a top 10 scorer, but dude is like 8th or 9th on any given night. So obviously she doesn't know what she's talking about. And that goes to many analysts, and all these analysts basically admitted that they haven't been watching these games. So
they're telling on themselves, dude. When you're saying that Booker doesn't play defense, or he's not a leader, or he's not a playmaker, or he only contributes on he only gives you points and shooting, you don't know what you're talking about. Because there's so many things. I mean, all you have to do is go back and look at the value. Who set the pick for Aiden? It was Booker, right? He does that. That's not like that one-time play. He does that consistently for Mikhail, for Jay Crowder, for he'll go to the corner, set a little slip screen so somebody can get behind him for a three. He's doing all the little things to win. That's why he's not averaging 30 points a game. If he averaged 30, he would be exactly. If he averaged 30, he would be shooting a little bit lower percentage, and it would impact the team. Our net rating would not be as good as it is. So he's doing everything that an MVP is supposed to do. You're right. The only thing that he doesn't get is he doesn't get calls. And if you look at what he scores without having free throws, and he's still up there as one of the top scorers in the game, that tells you a lot. Because if he was getting 10 free throws a game, then he'd be averaging 30 points a game.
He has 300 less free throw attempts than Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
You're telling me Booker with an extra 3, dude, Booker would be averaging 28 to 30 points a game right now. He would be MVP and end of discussion. But no, he doesn't get those calls. And I watched a couple other highlights showing Devin Booker just get mauled and not getting calls in college. Somebody posted it yesterday. It was his highlight reel from college. And he was getting mauled. So he's never gotten these calls. So this is a dude that's getting beaten, bruised, and battered, not getting calls, still putting up 25, 6, and 6, still playing defense, playing two-way basketball, and the dude does it within the system. He's not doing James Harden bullshit and trying to rock people to sleep doing step-back threes and just having an average go up because he's shooting so many threes or driving it and creating contact. No, he doesn't get that. So he still has to keep playing. Whereas James Harden's mid-range shot?
None.
There's nowhere to be
There
seen.
ain't none.
No, there isn't one. Where's Devin Booker's? Oh, but we know that he does that. But what do people want to talk about with the mid-range? They want to talk about DeMar DeRozan. And I'm sorry, Vlogs and JV. I'm sorry. I love DeMar DeRozan. But the fact that people are on his nuts right now because of the mid-range jumper is a joke, because Devin's been doing it longer. Okay? And he does these things within the system. Yeah, he goes and he takes those crazy three-pointer shots a couple times, right? Right, he goes out there and does that, but like he reels that back in, and then he plays within the system, and dude is averaging 26.5 points per game, playing within a system and not playing outside of himself. That's so important. And then I could do a whole podcast about Devin Booker's defense and his improvement there. We could go on and on and on about him, but Amit, give me 5 players right now that you would pick over Devin Booker to start a franchise. Give me 5. Let's see if you can do
it. We're talking about right now. So I'm
right now. You would start the season right now.
I'm considering all ages. The only one that comes to the only thing that comes to mind right now is Ja.
For sure, Ja. You would for sure pick Ja over Book right now.
I mean, no, you're asking me to pick 5. I'm just giving you 5 that I don't think I'd pick any of these guys over Booker, but Ja, he's young, right? He's got a lot of game, but he plays really recklessly. I'm not touching Zion. I think Cade has some potential there. He's potentially in that list. Ayton, I would take Ayton on that list for sure. Who am I missing?
Giannis?
I wouldn't touch Luka. I'm not touching Luka. Okay, and that's just I just don't like his game. It's I don't like his game. You have to put too many. You have to build around him. You don't like. We didn't necessarily have to build around Booker. Like Booker just fit in with whoever's around him. Whether it was Eric Bledsoe, Ricky Rubio, Ayton, Tyson Chandler. Like he was able to just make it work. Not that they had success all the time, but.
Fabio, we're talking about any player in the league to go out and get you one championship next year, and then obviously to build on. Any player in the league you could start with, and you have the number 1 pick. So JJ, same question. Name 5 players you would pick right now over Devin Booker. Devin Armani Booker.
To be honest, I wouldn't pick anybody above Booker. But I can give you a range of players around Booker. I think you can implement from that depending on your taste. Obviously, Ja. I think Ja has a lot of potential. I hope that was ridiculous. I hope he doesn't hurt himself like Rose and just it's another tell-all. But yeah, Ja, Jason Tatum, he is becoming a better player throughout the years. There's potential there, but I feel like he needs to leave. Jason Tatum, Ja. You obviously have to go with Giannis because he's proven it now. And I don't like Luka's game. I'm not a big Luka guy.
Trae Young.
Trae Young is interesting, but
Trae Young is kind of a ball hog to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the thing is they built the team around him last year, and he got them to the the Eastern Conference Finals. But if you look at this year, what happened? And it's nothing. It's not like a bunch of guys were injured. I mean, yeah, they did have some COVID and they did have some injuries, but they basically ran it back. And actually, what they did was they just put a lot of veterans around him, and it worked. And I don't think, I don't know if I like Trae's game either. Like you said, it's a little bit. He has to have the ball too much, and that's the same problem with Luka. These guys that need the ball, even Steph, right? Steph shoots a lot, but he doesn't have the ball a lot. He's moving around and creating a lot of activity, but he doesn't hold the ball as much as those guys do. And then when he does hold the ball, he's efficient with the ball. So there's big, it's a big difference.
I'll probably pick Garland over Mobley. Honestly, I'm more of a Garland
he's good.
guy.
I like Garland.
But see, if I was going out to pick a team to win a championship this year, we can make arguments for 1 year, maybe LeBron, maybe 1 year, maybe Kevin Durant. Like we can make those arguments for those players, but when you bring in the X factor of building for the future, Devin Booker's game is also so beautifully built for the future. He's not based on athleticism like Ja Morant to a point, where you're afraid of some Derrick Rose type of fluke injury or something, it's not a defensive player where he just needs to improve on one side or offense and just plays zero defense. He's a 3-level scorer. He can play defense. He has a tough mindset. He has all the X factors. And as you said, Amit, he is willing. There's their foot on the line. And he's like 90 for 99 from 3-point range or from 2-point with his foot on the line.
Yeah,
The dude's a killer from that range. To Amit's point, I just had a brain fart. I forgot where it went. Amit just brought up a point that I really agreed with that I wanted to elaborate on, and I can't remember it. But basically, his game is set for the next 10 years, even when he's 34, 35. Maybe his explosion might get lost, but he's just going to start playing like Chris Paul then.
Yeah.
He can pass it. He can score. He can do whatever he wants. He just doesn't get the respect. So Suns Jam session brought this up, and I thought it was a good point earlier this year. Are the Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker the new hated NBA team? Are we the villains?
I think Devin Booker was hated way before that. When he scored 70 points in a game, everybody thought he was just a ball hog, and that was it. And everybody formed an opinion about Devin Booker when he was like, what was he, 20 when he did it? And now that's like no one's ever moved on from that opinion, right? Like a lot of people just didn't change their minds about who he was. And then, he can't win because he's on this garbage team. He's a looter and a riot. It just became the story. And then it's like, and then we get winning players, and it's like, it's not his contributions, it's everybody else's contributions. So, I mean, I the way he's starting to talk to people, to the other teams and players, and Jay has always been sort of that dude that he's not afraid to talk and he's not afraid to back it up. He's not really afraid of anybody. Yep. CP3, he'll get chippy with the refs and get technicals for it. I mean, I think it's something that as us fans, we can enjoy it. I don't think other people will enjoy it because when they see us, we don't showboat, but we celebrate as a team, right? Like you see Jay, everyone has their own handshake. You see the big smiles on Mikhail's face.
Yeah.
You see Ayton going up and hyping up people. You see Ish Wainwright on the bench. Like we can enjoy it as fans, and I can see other people taking it the wrong way and be like, oh, these guys are, they're talking shit and they're arrogant and whatnot. But it's really not that. It's just we really just expect to be the best.
Big facts. And we are the best. But JJ, are we becoming the villain of the NBA? I mean, I would argue that the villain of the NBA for a while was definitely the Warriors, the way that they were showboating and doing all that crap, right? But we don't do that. We do it in different ways, in like kind of a San Antonio Spur way, which still pains me to say. But JJ, are we the villains?
I can definitely see it from other fan bases and stuff like the Nuggets. The Nuggets despise us, but I can definitely see it. But at the same time, we're just handling business at the end of the day. We're finished. We're beating all these teams in very, I wouldn't say flashy, but very good basketball. We're just a very traditional basketball team that plays within a system, and we just win night after night. Devin Booker, he talks and stuff, and Mikal, he talks his stuff, and Jay, he's in people's faces, whatever. This team is tough, and it's the players to say if we don't like those guys or whatever. But I'll argue this Suns team is very humble. They don't really, they don't go into the press conference saying what Draymond said, oh,
right,
what
good
place
point.
we're in. We're winning. He has 3 rings and stuff, and he can kind of say it. But
I love it.
But Booker's very short spoken. Chris Paul, he talks like an uncle. He's not really saying much. Aiden, he's like the kid on the team. He's just excited to be there. So the personalities on this team are very vibrant, but it's not like we're showboating. We're not, talking shit. The player to player, who's to say what they're doing? But if other fan bases hate us, it's because they ain't us. So
They have an
And-
excuse for everything. They have an excuse. It's Jamal Murray,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever. Like they always have an excuse about it. But it's just, that's just part of being a fan, right? Like we just have to accept that because the Laker fans are always going to say that they would have won last year. And, we know that the story really wasn't about Anthony Davis. It's really about Chris Paul. And it would have been, did we sweep you guys or did you guys win a game? Like that's what the story would have been had Chris Paul been healthy. So let's not really if you're a fan, you're going to take your side. You're going to be biased. That's fine, whatever. But, if you just like watching basketball, like even if you hated the Warriors, I still watched them. Like I didn't like them, but I liked watching them.
They're really good.
I loved watching LeBron when he was in Cleveland and in Miami. So there's sometimes you just got to pull yourself away from the just your sickoness, your fanness, right? And just be like, hey man, these guys are just good. Like we just got to give it to them. And to credit of a lot of people, Reddit, Twitter is the last place you're ever going to find that. But if I walk into a bar like I did, I was in Northern California this weekend, walk into a bar with sun shirt on, people are like, hey man, I love what you guys are doing this season. It's awesome. People in Sacramento are telling me this.
But I had two Jazz fans say that today too. By the way, when I was watching the soccer game at a bar.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's usually all the vitriol is online. And if you don't get too into that shit.
And those are dudes that have pictures of like Robert Williams of the Celtics and he's standing a player like Robert Williams, right? It's Twitter trolls like that literally have no idea what they're talking about. But when ESPN comes out or NBA.com, like with that post that we saw the other day, he's not flashy enough. It doesn't matter if you're flashy. Tim Duncan won rings and he won MVPs and not been flashy. That's the shit that's just really, really grinds my gears and get under the skin.
One more thing. I don't know if you guys saw like Giannis's like statement about like his injury and stuff. Did you guys see that?
No.
In the finals.
Is he injured?
So, he was talking about his hyperextended leg.
That I heard about.
Yeah, that thing. And he was saying, if I hyperextended again, like my knee was done, whatever. But he was acting like he was the only injured player in that series. And when someone brought up to him, what do you think about Chris Paul and Devin Booker's injuries going through that? And he was acting like they weren't injured and stuff. And he was just basically kind of saying like he kind of did it on his own. And I kind of took that the wrong way. That's sort of the flashy thing that we're kind of alluding to. It's all like you can give props where props are due. And when it comes to this Phoenix Suns team, it's just hard for people to like just say it, But like, and I've been trying to talk to Bucks fans too, because like they can't separate themselves from like of the reality of it all. But they got their chip. More power to them. But yeah,
no good.
Yeah, we don't like Bucks fans. Like Bucks fans. I mean, you watch these plays throughout the last 25, 30 minutes that I've been playing this, and just these are ridiculous plays that this man is making.
You know what this reminds me of? This just reminds me of if you go and watch like Larry Fitzgerald catches.
Yeah, dude.
Extreme difficulty because of all the shitty quarterbacks that he has had over time, and even the good ones. Just the clutch plays. It just gives you for me. It's watching an artist play. Like this is an artist paint right here. Picasso with the right there.
When it is all said and done, he is going to be the number one Arizona sports athlete of all time. When it's all said and done, no ifs, ands, buts about it. I fully believe in my heart and soul that this is going to be our year. And I'm not being facetious, douchey, arrogant. Like after watching what this team has done, I just fully believe it. So that itself is going to put him at that echelon, right? He's at that Randy Johnson echelon. Randy Johnson to me is the greatest sports athlete Arizona's ever had because of his dominance, and he brought championship here. Number one, championship. Nobody else can say that he's done that. Number two, sheer dominance. The only other players that I could think of had that type of dominance was Nash, who got controlled to a point in some series, and Larry Fitzgerald, who was never controlled, but never ultimately got us a championship. And it's hard to do that as a wide receiver too, but he almost effing did. He almost effing did. Like, he was right there. So that's my personal list of the best athletes of all time in Arizona. And I don't put Barkley up there just because he had one amazing year, but it was only for like 3 or 4 years. Give me Shane Doan, give me a Luis Gonzalez over Barkley or Amari Stoudemire. But it's a very subjective list, and I want to get into that more in the offseason. But I also want to talk about the last 2 games that we have had. We've also played against MVP caliber players. We played against Jokic. We played against Embiid. I want to start with Jokic. The more I think about Jokic, the less I'm impressed with his game. And I say that because he needs to have the ball in his hands to be able to do a lot of these things, other than rebounds, obviously. But when Jamal Murray comes back and MPJ, is he going to have the ball in his hands as much? Is he going to still be averaging 9, 10, or 11 assists? I would be inclined to say no. And if he's so great, he should be able to take these type of teams to at least a top 4 seed, not a 6 or a 7th seed. He's an amazingly skilled player. I don't think he's unstoppable, unguardable, and a generational talent. But I think he's damn close to being up there. But I don't think he's unstoppable. When it comes to Joel Embiid, man, I'm tired. I've been saying I thought Joel Embiid was the MVP, but the more I watch him these last 2 weeks specifically, and he just puts his shoulder into players like Giannis, tries to create the contact, go up, get a foul. That's not good basketball. I don't care if it works. That's not good basketball. That doesn't mean you're a good basketball player. That means you abuse the rules to benefit you, which isn't a bad thing, but that doesn't make you an MVP caliber type of player. And then not only are you putting your shoulder into players and driving, when you get touched a little bit, slapped, pushed, whatever, by a 6-foot player and you go like this, don't talk to me about your dominance. That is fucking weak. That is just weak basketball, weak-minded, and it proves all you're trying to do is foul bait. You're not trying to play the game. And then I see him doing this almost more than I see Luka or Devin Booker doing it now. Same with Harden. They're just doing this the whole damn game. Devin Booker's got a different mindset. I think he has a different mindset than Jokic. He has a different mindset than Embiid. And he's not 7'1", going up and doing this. No, he's going against the 7-footers and still not getting the calls. He's getting beaten down more than those other players, and he's still getting up, playing better defense. And it's harder to play better defense against world-class athletes when you're by yourself on an island on the wing versus grinding and pounding down low and trying to alter a shot with your 8'1" wingspan. It's completely different. I am all on board on Devin Booker for MVP. And if you're not, man, I don't know, because the other guys that we're talking about, Jokic is not unguardable. Embiid foul baits left and right. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on Jokic and Embiid? No, fuck Luka. We're not going to talk about him.
No, it's Jokic is look, dude, like his team's injured and he doesn't have good players around him. So when he comes off, the plus minus looks really good for him and really bad for the rest of his teammates. That's an indictment on their organization. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's, doing that. Because like you said, when he had Jamal Murray, he had all those guys healthy the year before, they still were only the 3 seed in the West. Right? Like, I mean, and then when they lost Jamal Murray, we swept them. I mean, it wasn't even competitive.
Your MVP needs to get you one game regardless of who you got around you, y'all.
Yeah. And he got bodied.
You can't get swept.
Bodied by Aiden.
And Clippers threw games at the end of the season to drop some seeding. So that's the only reason why the Nuggets even went up when Jamal Murray went down. So
good point. Good point. JJ, what do you think of Embiid and Joker?
Like I've been harping on, me not being impressed of Jokic for a while, just because like you said, I don't like he's not like unguardable. He's gonna have those nights where he doesn't miss a shot. Like we saw that with the game a couple of days ago. Like sole example, when he was at the 3 and he was trying to draw the foul, he just threw the ball up and it just went in. Like he was just having one of those nights when the ball was just like in his favor. But like Aiden played good defense on him, and that's all you can ask from him at that point. And if you ask me, points aside, Aiden had a better game, better defense. Like he clogged the paint, not
He had a
lot
better
of
plus minus.
a better plus minus and all. And like same thing with Embiid, it's like I think Embiid is better than Joker just off physicality and just more of a
I agree.
arsenal, really. But it goes into that complaining thing. Jokic complains sometimes, but it's not as bad as Embiid. Embiid throws his hands up with everything, and now with James Harden on the team, it's even more. And then Danny Green, he does it all the time. Like he's been doing this, so and then Doc Rivers, he's harping up.
I think.
Oh yeah, go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say about Embiid. I think for him, it's more of a mindset for him to be really truly be the MVP. Because his team should be better than it is. Like they should have a better record, and I would put that on him, on being a better player rather than doing what we're seeing from Jokic and him and Trae Young, which is hog the ball. Why is he taking 3-point shots? Nobody's guarding you out there. You know why? Because they're terrified of the and one. That's like they'll give you the 3-point shot. They'll give you the midi. Remember Amari? He would shoot like crazy from the midi, but they gave it to him because they were afraid that they were going to get dunked on. And get the and one. Like it just, even though they know he can shoot it at 50%, they're still giving that versus the and one. You know what I mean? Like it's just, there's things that he can do in his game where he could elevate. And I think this is where maybe, even though I think, what is he like 28? I think he's like, this is kind of he's in that stage where Booker was like 3 years ago, where it's like, okay, like if you kind of change your game a little bit to mesh with your teammates rather than just feeling like you have to carry it all on your back, your team you can really level up the guys around you. And I think that's where he's at now. Is like, he's doing everything that he thinks he can do to win, but it's not always winning basketball, and he's not leveling up the guys around him. And that's what an MVP does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we've seen this ever since, Joel has been in the league. He plays for himself, and that's what it's always felt like. He's always put on the dominant performances, but Ben Simmons was never able to flourish. Even when Jimmy Butler was here, he had to create for his own because Joel wasn't giving him the rock and stuff. And they almost made it to the end, but it came down to what the narrative is with Joel. I think Joel is a little selfish, but I don't really necessarily blame him. But at this point, you're 5-6 years in, and you've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals once, and that was because
of Jimmy Butler.
That was because of Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick, and man, that team was just so stacked. And when Tobias Harris was actually really good, so at this point with Joel, he has to change some things around us. His game's never going to flourish, and he's never going to be taken seriously as like a all-time player. He has that potential, don't get me wrong, but like the way that he plays, it's his way or no way. And that's not how Devin plays. That's not how Monty sees the system and stuff. This is what separates boys to men and like all-time players to just an average player. Like Embiid will have a stretch. Like this is probably a stretch now. He's going to be a dominant big guy, but who's to say in 2 years? Like, is he still going to be doing the same thing with Tyrese Maxey?
We don't even know. We don't even know next week if he'll still be healthy. Like his
exactly.
His
health
track
is
record is so bad that they have to worry about him every single time he falls. He's not at the street clothes AD level, but he's at he's like close. Like it's more catastrophic with him than it is with like street clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Steph Curry's been out. His team goes 1-5. Ja Morant goes out. His team flourishes. Devin Booker or Chris Paul goes out. This team flourishes. If Jokic or Embiid go out, guarantee you their team goes down low. So that's also a good thing and a bad thing when you're talking about their MVP races, because if you are the best team, you need to make like a serious impact when you come on the court. But this brings me to my next point. That gives more fuel to the fire for Monty being Coach of the Year, which I want to talk about real quick. James Jones, Executive of the Year. Again, by the way, this would be two years in a row. And we need to talk about Chris Paul and Devin Booker being on first team All-NBAs. Mikal Bridges, DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year, and first team All-Defensive Player. And if Cam Johnson hadn't gone out, I would have fought tooth and nail to say he deserves it over Tyler Herro. But I think Harrow might have that wrapped up to a point, even though the Heat aren't even looking that bad. So, I mean, do we need to talk about it? Do you guys think in your mind, Monty, James Jones, Mikhail all need to get those awards as well as all NBA and first team defense?
I would say CP3 is probably all NBA. I don't think he's a first teamer.
Third team, I would say
third
for
team.
him.
Okay, and
I would say just all NBA in general. Yeah.
And you have Booker on 1, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If he's MVP, you can't put him lower than 1. So I agree with all that stuff. I wish Cam would have been stayed on, but you could make an argument that even Mikhail might be more improved, one of the most improved players in the NBA too, with his mid range and with some of the stuff he's done on pick and roll. But that's us like being very like Phoenix focused, like knowing like all the things that they do and all their tendencies. So that might go over a lot of people's heads because it's not going to be. If you look at the numbers, it's not going to be like significant from his points, scoring per game.
Right.
The only thing I would say with Coach of the Year is, I mean, so if we're giving it, I mean, yes, Monty's deserving. I really think, what's the guy's name? Taylor from Memphis?
Jenkins.
Taylor Jenkins, I think
so.
Fully deserving of this award this year too.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, man. Like what's happened now is that if Monty gets it this year, it's a 2-year award. Like it's basically a referendum on the previous year and one for this year, right? Because Thibodeau's, I mean, his team's, he's never going to be like anywhere near that. The fact that that guy has two Coach of the Years, one in Chicago and one here, is insane. I mean, the Chicago one, but it's like, the Knicks one doesn't make any sense at all. You got the Knicks to the playoffs. Is that's it? Okay.
A 5 seed or 4 seed at that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like that, literally. I mean, I guess that's how people perceive the Knicks, is that they're so shitty that if anybody can get them into a home court advantage in the first round of playoffs, deserves to be Coach of the Year. Which is like, I mean, I can see that from one fan's perspective.
From a Knicks fan,
looking at the rest of the NBA, I'm like, I don't know. So I don't know, man. Like, it's almost like that MVP thing. Like, if we start giving coaches awards for stuff they did over like more than 1 year, and I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. I just really think that what Memphis has done is like, it's kind of what we did last year, right? So it's like, I don't know. Like, I think Monty deserved it last year. I think Taylor deserved it this year.
Wow. I like that you're being non-biased. This is a non-biased podcast here. So I appreciate that. I completely disagree with you because I'm going to back up Monty like no other. And I do think if this is the best team in Suns history, I mean, 62 wins. Mike D'Antoni got it. 62 wins. Paul Westphal got it. So if we get 63, I mean, holy shit. You have to give it to Monty. That's my personal opinion. JJ, what do you think?
Like we're sitting on 61 wins right now, and if we win out the rest of the season, we're at 67. I feel like you're more than obligated and forced to give Monty the Coach of the Year award again. Last time we saw like a record like that pre-Warriors, I think it was the 2000 Lakers when they went on their stretch. But
it was actually, you know what's funny?
Yeah, like I'm on the same boat.
The Warriors, the year that the Warriors won 73. San Antonio won 67 that same year.
That's crazy.
The reason that the Warriors had to keep the 67, the reason that they had to get that 73 is because the Spurs were on their ass for that 1 seed.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. It's forgotten because they didn't.
That's an Ahmed gem right there.
Attaboy.
But Ahmed, I completely agree with you about Taylor Jenkins. What they did, what they've done at Memphis is crazy. And with Ja being out, them being 15-2 and still wiping teams, they beat the Bucks today, but Drew wasn't playing. But hey, a win's a win, and it looks good on paper.
And they beat him by like 25 too. It wasn't like a close game.
Yeah. So like, I'll definitely give Monty Coach of the Year just because the best record in the league, and he's above 60 wins. So Monty last year got the award amongst peers, right?
Right.
The media one. Okay. So just switch it around this year. Have the media put Monty down as Coach of the Year, and within the peers, give it to Taylor Jenkins. I'm totally cool with that. Or however they want to do it. I think it's only fair. What Memphis has done this year has been incredible, and I love watching them play. So.
I'm not going to back off my Monty stance. But
But Jay came up with the compromise there. That's I'm good with that compromise. Give it to Monty from the media, and then give the coaches the coaches
True.
association. Give it.
These are the only two coaches that deserve to win it. If it's Steve Kerr or Spoelstra, I'm gonna cause a fucking riot, dude.
No. And shout out to Suns Twitter for finally collectively coming together on a few points to a point. But you guys, 2 weeks from tonight will be the last day of the NBA season. Our season will end on a Saturday night, 2 weeks from yesterday. No, 2 weeks from today, excuse me. And we are going to be in full playoff mode in 2 weeks. Do you guys care who we play in the first round? Does anybody care?
Not really.
As of right now, by the way, the Lakers are 1 game away from being out of the playoffs. And it would be San Antonio versus the Pelicans for that first round game.
So I selfishly want the Clippers because I want to go to the games.
I want Lakers, the Jazz to win in the second round, so I go to a game. So yeah.
And the reason I don't want to go to Lakers because they're like literally like twice the price of the tickets. So I'm like, I'd rather go to the Clipper game.
That makes sense.
But it'd be cool to just be there and just talk shit to the Laker fans, though. That'd be awesome. But maybe I'll go to a bar next to the stadium or something and do that. But yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, man. It doesn't even matter to me all the way through until we get to the Eastern Conference. That's the only time where it matters to me. And I'm not saying this arrogantly. I'm just like, we've stomped all these teams. The one team that everybody seems to think that has our number is the Warriors. And it was, Otto Porter just goes off, who never does that. Like
hasn't done it since.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we're talking about, and then Steph is out too, right? So that's another wrench where they have to work it in. Clay's gotten better, and Draymond's not back, right? Draymond is he back?
He's
yet?
back. He's back. He's been back for like a week or two.
So.
But yeah, they have Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins, all of which Andrew Wiggins obviously an all-star this year. Other dudes have been an all-star before, and they still are going out and not winning. Like, how many Hall of Famers, potential Hall of Famers, all-stars totaled, like, do you need? And you still can't get it done. So don't talk to me about the Warriors, man. I'm more afraid of the Grizzlies, but I think we can beat the Grizzlies. That's the only team, like, I would maybe question, but I'm not worried about it because of who this team is.
I'll throw it to Jay. We have problems with mobile, like, athletic guards. That gives us problems a lot. So he is something to concern. But again, they don't have the experience. They don't really have the pedigree yet. This is kind of their year to sort of learn it, I think, and sort of let's see where they are next year. But I mean, I'm just looking at the Bucks, and I'm going, or the Nets, and I'm like going, let's go.
Yeah. Well, last year, everyone was worried about playing the Lakers, right?
We all had a little concern. I mean, I was definitely concerned.
I was concerned too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, everybody was concerned. I mean, through the end of the year, you were seeing like, oh, I want to lose this game and then win this game, so this happens in the seedings. This year, dude. I mean, I wasn't like that, but a lot of Suns fans were. But this year, everyone's just like, dude, we'll play whoever. And bring it. We're going to play our game. Y'all figure the rest out and just tell us where to show up. You know what I mean? I don't care who we play. I don't care who we play on the East Coast. I want to play the Bucks again because I want to beat them, which we will. But I don't care who we play, JJ. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat right now. But for a first round, like, I want the easiest team as possible. So either the Clips or Lakers is what I'm rolling with. But I think the tougher games will be either Minnesota or Pelicans, just because they're chippy and they hustle hard. They have good teams, good chemistry. But I'm really aiming for the Lakers. If we can like possibly beat the Lakers 2 times in a row, that's Suns porn if you ever heard of it. So
I mean, I'll take the Spurs round 1 too and axe the Spurs. We all know what that's like to beat San Antonio. I'll take them.
Yeah. The Spurs end up inching in there. I'm not complaining at all. But yeah, I'm just looking forward. But at the same time, I'm one series at a time, one game at a time. I just want to. I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but I feel like this team is really going to go all the way because, there's no holes in this team. So,
I mean,
this is my house and I did not invite you.
Whether
to
it's
the rest
us,
of the NBA.
whether it's us or whether it's somebody else. Like if we play the Jazz, we're putting that team in the grave. If we're playing the Lakers, that team's in the grave. That team can't come back. But if they lose before us, either way they're going to be in the grave. Like they're going to be in the grave anyways, right? So it's like it Spurs too. Like maybe this is Popovich's last year. If we stomp them 4-0, like maybe he's done too. Not that like I want to see him go, but maybe it's time for he's kind of older now and his teams aren't like at the same caliber that we've noticed. But hey, we took Monty from them. We took a lot of their scheme and put it in, and it's worked for us. So maybe that's the legacy for him now. But yeah, I mean, whoever it is, like whoever comes across us in the Western Conference is getting stomped. I'm saying that now on March 27th in 9:25 p.m. my time, that whoever's coming through the West is getting stomped by the Suns.
I love it.
Fucking facts. Hold on, bro. I got
Boom
you.
shakalaka!
Absolutely. And Bees, this is for everybody that's a non-Suns fan right now, Bees.
Don't start with me.
I don't not that I want all the smoke. I'm actually very respectful to a point when we get into a series. I don't want fans talking shit and the counting hundreds guy, in game 2. Yeah. I didn't like
He's
that
not
kind
allowed
of thing
in the stadium.
Yeah, we've talked about that a whole bunch. When we win, I'll talk all the shit and give all the smoke. But honestly, I want to play the best teams completely healthy, and I want to smoke them all. I want the narrative to be we beat the best, not what it was recently. And to everybody that still wants to say the Suns would have won if AD was healthy, y'all, the Lakers would have lost if KD and Kyrie were healthy the bubble year. So don't even try. 3 years ago, without coming off of injuries, when they were at their height of everything, no, they would have won. So
I wouldn't even say that. I would say if Miami was down basically 2 starters or 3 starters when the finals started, they didn't have Dragic, they didn't have Bam, and they didn't have somebody else. And it's like, okay, I mean, and then I think the same thing against Houston when they played Houston. Not that Houston was going to beat them, but you think that they would put up a better fight. I think Westbrook missed like the first 2 games of that series 2, I think, or something. And so, am I right?
Excuses are like assholes. Everybody got one.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm tired of hearing. So I don't want all the smoke. I mean, I do. It's not that. I just want to shut the league up. I want there to be left no doubt in anybody's mind. And I just want it to be this year. Like, we all feel it, right? Everybody, I mean, I can feel the energy coming from you guys. Like, we feel it with this team, and we're not blowing smoke.
When we did the preview at the beginning of the season, I was like very hesitant to say that the Suns. I didn't want to put it in my mouth and say that the Suns maybe the title favorites just to jinx it. But now I feel confident, and it's not just me. I mean, everybody's saying it, other than like Nick Wright, some of these other people. But like
Dallas is gonna win, or fucking
Shaq. What you're talking about.
Yeah,
I will say Dallas is a little bit different since they got Spencer Dinwiddie. I thought that was a great move for them. I will say that they seem to have leveled up a little bit, so that'll be a potential good second round matchup for sure. I don't think it's the same Dallas that we've beaten either. And we're not going to play this team with Bertans and Dinwiddie. We're not going to play them yet, so it's going to be a little bit of a feeling out period for us when we play that team. Like, see, here's me putting on my non-bias hat again, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, Dallas is different. They're playing good defense, which they didn't for a long time. They're playing good defense. I'm surprised because I'm really, I guess Kidd has matured as a coach because like this is like probably his best job as a coach that he's had because he had Giannis and a bunch of pretty good players and with Middleton and some other guys and were they losing the first round, second round, whatever. But now I think he has a pretty good team. But again, like we don't know what these other role players, what they're going to do in the playoffs. And they did hurt themselves because they did give up a shot blocker. And they're kind of like a more perimeter team now. Because they did have some good stuff with KP when he was in the post, but he just didn't want that role in a secondary role. So I mean, they could be a team that they could take 2 games from us maybe because we don't know with this new style that they're playing.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but overall, I'd take the Suns.
Man, but I'm not banking on Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock or Dwight Powell as your effing center.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, I love me some Spencer Dinwiddie down here. I love me some Marquise Chris
Oh my
and
god.
Trey Burke, but they only played 4
4
minutes.
minutes.
But Maxi Kleber and Bertans, like, I'm saying they're nice with Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench, right? But y'all ain't matching up with our centers, man. It's just not happening. And I also don't want I wanted to mention this. I don't want to hear about Rudy Gobert, defensive player, anymore and how good he is. He can get played off, man. He can. If you can work your way around a defensive player to where they don't make an impact, they're not the defensive player of the year. So I don't want to say that. And Draymond is not causing the havoc that he did years ago or even at the beginning of the season. Nobody's guarding like McHale every single game against the best player every single game. No one's doing that. Like, that's an open and shut case for me too, by the way. I wanted to make that point and I forgot to make that. Sorry if I screwed anybody up there.
No, but looking at that that roster that Dallas has, I think Brunson versus Campaign, series would be pretty interesting. Them two going back and forth because, in my opinion, those are the two best backup point guards in the league right now. So I think that would be interesting to watch.
Luka is a shell of himself against McHale. He might get some shots. He could still get 30 or 35, but he's still not playmaking because of that length.
Luka's good. He's just so selfish, dude. He's like.
But our weak side defense is so good, Amit. Our weak side defense is arguably our strength of our defense. You could make that argument.
It's the scrambling that we do is like no other team in the NBA. Nobody does scramble and
no, not even that. When was the last time you even saw that, Amit? Can you make a comp? Maybe the Pistons, maybe the Spurs.
Spurs have to be the earliest comp, honestly.
Yeah,
but weak side, the way we get our hands on balls with tip passes and all that.
So I will give some credit to the Lakers. That 2020 team did play good defense. Even that 2021 team that we faced, the reason that it was a matchup is because that they could switch and they can get, they had the way to recover with Caruso and Kuzma and those guys.
Yeah. Wild shot.
Especially when you have AD
to use that. I agree. It's just an excuse to use that.
No, that's fine. Because I mean, you put the guy in there with that. If he is the weakest link, he is the weakest weak side player, Westbrook, for that team. How many times has he just been watching the ball and the other team is scoring, right? They don't have that. They were good. They were good. But yeah, at this level, what the Suns are, it's tough to say. It has to be like Pistons, Spurs, maybe some of those Miami teams.
That's what I was thinking. Sure.
Yeah.
But even then, you're talking about a team, LeBron James, who's a generational talent doing this thing. So what we're talking about is generational teams. We're talking about this team arguably being a top 10 team of all time. Those are the conversations that are going around the league right now. There are stats coming out with how many games we're up with games left or how long we've been there. Like, teams haven't done this since the Spurs, since Jordan's Bulls, since the 2000 Lakers, or like the 73 Sixers or stuff like that, right? Yeah. Like, we're talking about a legendary effing team here with a legendary player, the point guard, the defensive player of the year, and we're still missing Cam Johnson.
History's writing itself right now, dude. Like we're
watching. Boom shakalaka!
Hey, that again.
History's writing itself.
He's on fire.
No, this seems crazy, dude. Like,
and guess what? There's a potential. Podcast, no, there's a potential that we could get Dario. We could get Kaminsky. Not that we even need them, but the fact that you can even add those guys to this team. Yeah. Like, that's just that, because I don't think Ish can play in the playoffs. He's on a two-way, so I don't think he can play in the playoffs. So you're going to need another
before the end of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll probably need Dario. I mean, we probably won't need him, but it would be nice to have Dario.
Vlogs, can you elaborate? Do you think did you hear something, or just do you think he did pregame warm-ups today for the first time? Chris Paul did it 2 times and then he came back. So obviously there's that potential right now. But Vlogs, I want to hear about that. Dario would be interesting to get back, because I think he can do some things that he doesn't need practice for per se, just because he is that perimeter big man that can just play make. So I don't necessarily know if he needs to get all that timing in there and whatnot. But I mean, that's intriguing. I don't think we do need him because I don't know if I want to take away from Torrey Craig right now either. Torrey Craig's on one.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Ever since that Laker game, dude, the Lakers set him straight, man. Like all of a sudden now this guy's a lights out shooter.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, give it time, like everyone was starting to doubt Torrey Craig a bit. Now he's a lot more apparent, like in the paint. Now he's actually tipping the ball in the right direction. Things are flourishing for this team, dude.
Landry Shamet is shooting like 42%.
Shamet is good.
The All-Star break.
Again, Lakers set him straight. Too.
I mean, he was 3 of 5 tonight from 3, so I bet you that's like at 45% now.
Dude, that Minnesota game, he was going crazy.
Dude, he won us the Sacramento game last week, and we didn't even we did have a podcast last Sunday. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to blow smoke up everybody's ass, but when you watch this team and you come listen to us religiously, thank you, by the way, rate, read, review, subscribe, thumbs up, all that stuff, share it out. Like you just see it. You just see it. And then, my last point I'm going to bring up before we get out of here in a few minutes. Again, for year 2 in a row, we have the ultimate X factor, organic chemistry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they love playing for each other. They love celebrating each other's accomplishes. They love it when whoever the hell's on the floor gets a dunk or a big 3 and gets fouled. You see everybody over there standing up. Yeah, you see that with some teams, but not for every play. Every play you see Jay Crowder going up, holding up the 3 and walking the sideline or something. Organic chemistry. I said it all last season, and I haven't said it enough this season, but to me, that's the ultimate X factor, because when times are down, like we're always down 10 to 15 points now for some reason, which I think we might be challenging ourselves or testing ourselves. How far down can we go before we need to turn it back on? I think that's a potential thing that they're doing. But when we're down and the cards are out, we're playing for each
highlight
other.
everything that you said to me about this team, because they know each other so well that usually when Crowder gets the ball, he's going to, it's going up, right? But Crowder, there was a play against the Sixers, I think it was the second quarter. He caught the ball at the 3-point line, had an open 3, but he saw Mikal running down. Mm-hmm. He threw the bounce pass to him and got the layup. Like, that's just, you only know that when you play with somebody so much and you have so much trust in them. The other play was when we first got Torrey, and it was that play. It was a game where we lost, where we were all talking about that play where Ayton got the ball, Torrey dove down.
Last year?
No, this year. Remember, it was I can't remember the team we played, but it was a game we lost. Torrey cut down when Ayton had the ball. And basically Ayton was like, okay, being the teammate he is, like, I'm going to give it to the cutter. But it was a stupid play because he couldn't catch the ball. It wasn't a good pass.
Right.
Oh, that happened recently. I know.
Yeah.
What game was that?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? But it's basically like Torrey Craig was like, oh, like, he hadn't been with the team. He didn't fully understand. And he didn't fully understand where Ayton is at this point. Like, now you give the guy the ball and you just let him go to work. You know what I mean?
Was it the Raptors game?
Yeah, it was a Raptor game. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But basically this team is so in sync. Like, they're so unselfish with each other. It starts with Booker and everybody else, but then they know, like, hey man, when it's time, we will, like, let's do whatever we can, get screens, spread out the court, crash if he gets double teamed, do all the things that they just instantly know what to do. And it's beautiful to watch, because like, we've been watching every game for forever, but I know I've been literally watching every single Suns game since the bubble, even the previous season. And I can just tell you what's going to happen, just by watching these guys and their body language and the way they're moving and hesitating and cutting. It's just like, I can tell you what Book's going to do.
Yeah, we don't even have Abdul Nader. Are you kidding me, NBA?
They ain't ready.
Are you guys officially ready for the playoffs yet, or do you need these 2 weeks to play out? I'm almost there. I'm not quite in playoff mode yet, because I still think there's a lot of bickering and chatter and shit going on Twitter that needs to be settled. Obviously, I don't think it will be, but I'm starting to get in playoff mode. Where are you guys at?
I just want to write it out. I want to enjoy this. I want to see if we can win
There
out.
it is. Word.
67 wins, maybe. That's an
Let's
insane
enjoy.
feat, dude.
You're right. You're right. Let's enjoy that.
Yeah.
Let's keep building to get to that 63 wins. Two more, by the way. You're completely right. Thank you, JJ. But what about you, Amit?
I mean, I told you guys my magic number is 66. I want to be 50 plus games over 500 and be in that conversation of like the top 5 or 6 greatest teams of all time. And then maybe we can go 60. We can win out and get 68. Like that'd be incredible. And that'd be move us up higher. But yeah, I just want to see what Book does because I'm just loving what I'm seeing from him every game, and I just want to see him continue to do that. I want to see us stay healthy. I'm gonna need to, I need a break because like as soon as the playoffs hit, like it's gonna be insane, right? So, and especially if we're playing an LA team, it's gonna be even more intense the first round. So, I'm gonna enjoy this time the next couple of weeks. We got the Masters coming up. We got U.S. men's soccer.
Final Four next week.
Final Four.
Yeah, Final Four. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to be watching, and then there's some great TV coming out too. You got Barry coming back. It's a lot of stuff happening real quick. So,
and to add on to that too, you guys know that meme of the Grim Reaper like knocking on doors, and he's just like, through them? That's how this playoffs is going to be. I feel like with the Suns, dude. I think it's just going to be one series after another, and like they're just going to implement themselves as one of the best teams ever. So I'm really looking forward to that. If we can win out, that's just the first chapter of the story, honestly. So
that would be 68 and 14 would be a record if we could win out. That would be incredible. But you know what Monty says? He's just worried about the next game. It's going to be against Golden State. But we win, Steph Curry wasn't there, yada, yada, yada. Next game after that at Memphis. We win, no Ja Morant, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And then at Oklahoma City, we play home to the Lakers next Tuesday, at the Clippers, at Utah, which I still might go. I'm not kind of sure where that's at, if guys are going to be playing or if they're going to pull it at that point. I'd love to go to that game, but have it be competitive. And then we finish off the season home to Sacramento. One thing we forgot to talk about was the Arizona Cardinals.
Done.
Was that sufficient?
That was done.
Was that sufficient for them? Yeah, I think that was absolutely sufficient.
What are you doing, Kyle?
We'll talk about them after the season, just like we gave them their respect and their props when they were good. But now we're an all Phoenix Suns podcast right now. I really want to be coming out with a lot of content during playoff time as well too. Hopefully more podcasts during the week, stuff after post games, potentially, even though I know a lot of Suns podcasts do that, so I don't want to step on toes. But we'll come up with our own thing, maybe pregame or something. I think it's going to be a big time. I really want to do a live stream of the Warriors game. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or have time just because of personal stuff going on, but we will be doing a post game after the Golden State game. It will be a little bit later time, obviously. We will have a podcast there. So do you guys think we beat Golden State next Wednesday? Yay or nay? Amit?
Revenge game, yes. And its playoff implications. I mean, the next 2 games, because we lost our last 2 games against those teams we lost. So these are times where we're trying to let you know, this is the team. Like if you thought like you can come in here like Minnesota or whoever and talk some shit or feel like you got a little bit of sauce, that's not the place. We're not fucking around. The Suns are not fucking around right now.
I'm very sorry, JNS. There was a lot of naughty words on here, so please forgive us. JJ, are we getting that dub Wednesday night?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Warriors fans all year have been talking like, "Oh, wait till we get James Wiseman back. Wait till we get Clay back."
He gone. He ain't.
Yeah. Now we're at the end of the season. Like Curry's out with a rolled ankle. Wiseman, he not even sniffing the court, and this Warriors team seems a lot worse now than it was even midway through the season. So this is definitely a revenge game for us. I'm not going to take it too seriously because the playoffs is where it matters. So I'm not going to harp on it like Warriors fans with like them being in the lead at 2-1 game this year. But I don't care. But
just come out healthy.
I think we win Wednesday for sure.
Yeah, just come out healthy. We can celebrate win
healthy.
Number 62 Wednesday night. How about that? We would be tying that. So that would be That would be special. But, everybody on this podcast knew that when we were forming this, there was going to be no secret. Of course, we were going to have a historic year because He's on Fire podcast just started production. So it's no news to us. You guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this episode about Devin Booker and why he is the MVP this year and next year. I'm mad at everybody who didn't call me out when it said 2023 on the episode list. I meant to put 2022, but you know what? He's MVP next year. It's a great time, Suns fans. Relish it. Relish the last 2 weeks. And let's come together, Suns fan. Let's stop bitching amongst each other about little things that don't matter. All about Larry O'Brien. Come together. We're getting to ship this to y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Good one, y'all.